It's not that serious. Trust me, I know that. But anyway.
Hey girls, grab your makeup bag. I'm filming a tutorial. In 2025, no one is getting left behind. Now let's get into it. For your face to snap, your brows need to eat. So step number 1, make sure you're starting off with a clean and moisturized face. As you can see, I'm using a brown pencil and I'm filling in my brows to my desired shape. Continue to do this until you are happy with the result. Now, this step is very necessary, especially for the girls like me with thin eyebrows. So I'm basically brushing out my brows with the spoolie to blend them into the product. This makes the brows look way more natural and realistic, because the last thing you want are bad eyebrows. Just after I used my brow pencil, I went in with a dark brown pomade and I applied that to my brows as well. Okay. Now I'm using my Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Chestnut to shape my eyebrows, and I do this accompanied with a flat brush. Guys, when I say this concealer is that girl, she is that girl. So now during this process, girls, we really have to lock in and focus, because I like to think the eyebrows are the most important part of the face. Okay girls, now notice how I am taking my time. You don't want to rush this process. You want to take your time, make sure you get the shape that you actually want, and make sure it matches your face as well. Once you're done shaping your eyebrows, just go ahead and grab a blending brush like this, and you're going to blend in all the concealer on your eyelids, any that's gotten on your forehead and around the eyebrows, until you get a seamless blend like so. Okay, now that we've blended the concealer on the right side, we're going to proceed to the left side of the face and do the exact same thing. And listen, don't worry about the eyebrows not matching perfectly. They're sisters, not twins. And things like shaping your eyebrows take a lot of practice before you become a pro at them. Now for foundation. I use the Estee Lauder foundation, and I use a flat, thick brush to apply it onto my skin. Try not to put too much foundation, only put enough to get a decent amount of coverage on your face. You also want to put a small amount of foundation because, guys, keep in mind, we're going to build this look later on with other products, so we don't want it to be too cakey. And here I'm just blending it out, and I want to make sure that I've blended it out as evenly as possible. Some people are going to think that I'm crazy, but I don't care. All that matters to me is... Okay, now this is a step I can never miss. I'm going in with my charcoal pencil to fill in my waterline, and I just feel like it adds this level of mystery to the makeup look. I usually do this with my eyes closed because I just feel like this way works best for me. I'm now going in with the brush I used to shape my eyebrows. I'm using that same brush to blend any makeup on my eyelids that's stuck between the creases. Now, with this step, I didn't add any extra product to the brush. I just used whatever product was left over from when I last used the brush. Now we're going to blend, and we're using the same brush we used to clean up our eyebrows. However, this time, we're going to clean up our eyelids. We're going to use the compact powder from Maybelline to make sure we don't get any creasing on our eyelids, and we're going to press this onto our eyelids using the same brush that we used to blend in our eyebrows. Also, don't be alarmed that it's a few shades lighter. It's going to come together once we blend. After that, we're going to line our lids. Guys, I love a winged liner, but my hand gets so shaky sometimes, so it's literally a matter of trial and error. But yeah, if you can perfect it, it's just a matter of practice. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it the first time. Once you're done with the liner, just make sure you neaten it up with concealer.
Put some ice on you cause you got it cold. I know I gotta keep my shawty on the go.
Guys, I have a very round face, so when I'm contouring my face, my aim is to get my face to look as snatched as possible. And to achieve this, I use the L'Oreal Paris Infallible Contour Stick in a dark brown shade. And I basically contour my nose, my cheekbones, my forehead and my jaw. For the next step, we're going to blend the contour with a thick, fluffy, angled brush. And notice how I'm doing it in an upward motion. For this next step, you want to start off with a concealer that's a couple of shades lighter than you, but not too light. Notice how I'm applying the concealer to certain areas of my face. For example, under my eyes, on my chin, and eventually I'll place a dab on my nose. I'm also applying a generous amount of concealer on my face. Please don't be afraid to use this product. It's your friend, your best friend in this case. The shade of concealer I'm using is also the same shade I used to carve out my eyebrows. It's the Born This Way concealer in the shade Chestnut. Now that my concealer is setting in, I'm not going to blend it in just yet. I'm going to apply some mascara to my lashes whilst I wait. After letting your concealer set for about 5 minutes, it's time to blend. I prefer to blend with a brush instead of using a beauty blender because I just feel like it blends better and it doesn't take away too much of the product. Now, as you can see, I'm just neatening up my wing and the liner in my waterline with the concealer. I'm just dragging out that concealer, making sure I'm getting as much coverage as possible, and I drag a small line on my nose and I do the same on my chin, making sure that the product is as spread out as possible, and just finishing with some reverse contour. I use a powder puff when I'm blending in my concealer, and I basically start inside the corner of my nose and I work my way outwards until I've completed my entire face. Once everything is blended in with the powder puff, I'm going in with the brighter shade of concealer. I use a bright concealer for my under eye just to give me that bright under eye look because I love the UK baddie look. So I'm gonna blend the concealer last, and this is gonna give me more coverage. I'm blending my contour because it does look a bit exaggerated, and I don't want my contour lines coming all the way down from my cheek to the corner of my lips. I'm using my powder blush now, and the usual way to go about this is to apply all your liquids first before applying your powders. However, I don't have any liquid blush, so I'm going ahead and I'm applying the blush underneath my concealer whilst blending it into my contour. I think I put too much, but that's okay. We move. Now for the bronzer. I'm applying it just underneath the blush, following that same angle of the contour. At this stage, the under eye concealer should be ready to blend. I like to use a brush to blend it out and then use a powder puff to set it in. Notice how I'm doing a dragging motion to make sure I get as much of the concealer out as possible. Now it's time to use the powder puff. You're going to see how much coverage you get with this concealer. Make sure to drag the concealer all the way to the corner of your face. And notice how I use a dabbing motion. After that, go ahead and blend your bronzer. On this day, I felt like my bronzer was a bit too harsh, so I just kept blending it in with my brush, and as you can see, the product was a lot, so I used my hand just to get rid of extra product. Now it's time for lashes. I usually stack my lashes on top of each other to get a very dramatic look, and I match the eyelash to the shape of my eyelid just so I know where to trim the lash off. And I also use the duo glue stick to stick my lashes together and to stick them to my lashes. I actually did struggle a bit with my lashes on this day, but the trick is sticking the lashes on only once the glue is a bit tacky. Guys, the truth is, sometimes lashes just don't want to cooperate, so be as patient as you can during this process. And voila, my lashes are on. To prevent any creasing and to hold the makeup in place, we're now going to bake. I use the Huda Beauty powder in the shade Banana Bread and Blondie. So to start off with, I applied the Banana Bread powder using a brush, making sure I'm placing the powder over areas where I've applied the concealer. So I placed 2 to 3 layers of powder under each eye just until I feel like I'm satisfied with the amount of powder I've put on my face. Make sure you tap off any excess powder before you apply it onto the skin. This helps to prevent applying too much product. And remember that if you apply too much powder, it can actually accentuate dry areas and fine lines on the face, and that's the last thing that we want.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me.
Now, after letting the powder bake on my face for about 3 to 5 minutes, I'm going to blend the powder in with the powder puff. The powder puff is literally my favorite tool to use when baking the powder in. In my opinion, it gives off almost like an airbrushed, no, it actually does give off an airbrushed effect, almost as if I've got a real life filter on. So once again, I'm going to use the powder puff in a dabbing motion and continue doing that on every area that I've applied powder to. Okay, now we're going in again with the same type of powder, just in a different shade, the shade Blondie. I'm going to do the exact same thing by applying the powder, same areas I'd applied the Banana Bread powder to before. So I'm going to apply the powder under my eyes, my chin, and just above my lip. Once that's done, I go in and I apply a brown lip liner to my lips. This is the same liner that I use to shape my eyebrows. Now it's time for some lip gloss. I start off with a pink butter gloss from NYX, and after that I apply a shimmery gloss from Maybelline. Then I finish off the lip combo with a clear lip gloss to seal the deal.
Inside out, make my heart beat. Need no one else. You're all I need. Personality.
Okay, afterwards I usually like to clean up the edges around my lips with a powder puff, just in case there's any smudging. For my final step, I like to go in with my setting spray to lock in the makeup, and this also gives me the perfect glowing effect to finish off my look. Remember, the setting spray helps prevent your makeup from creasing, fading and melting. And once that's all done, your whole makeup look is now complete. Thank you guys for watching my first YouTube video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Thank you guys. Bye.